Story, titled The Two Crowns, A Tale of Power and Legacy. Short premise: in the ancient kingdom of Veyora, two brothers rise to power, both destined for the throne, but with very different hearts. One rules with fear, the other with compassion. Their choices shape not only their people's future, but also how they will be remembered in history. Part 1. The Kingdom of Two Heirs. Welcome, dear listeners, to English Story Haven, where stories come alive, and every tale carries a light for the heart. Tonight, we begin the journey of a kingdom divided, of two brothers destined for greatness but bound to choose very different paths. This is the tale of the Two Crowns. Long ago, nestled between silver rivers and mountains crowned with snow, there lay the kingdom of Veyora. For 100 years, it prospered under the rule of King Alden, a man both fierce in battle and gentle in peace. His people loved him, for he ruled not as a tyrant, but as a father. But even kings cannot outlive time. And when the winter winds swept across the palace walls, King Alden's candle burned its final light. His death left the throne empty, but not uncontested. For the king had two sons, twins born under the same star, yet as different as night and dawn. The first was Prince Kael. His eyes were sharp, his words sharper still. Even as a boy, he dreamed of banners and armies, of conquest and gold. He believed power was strength, and strength was everything. The second was Prince Arin. His gaze was softer, his voice calm. He walked among the people, shared bread with farmers, and listened when others spoke. He believed true strength was not in the sword, but in the bond between ruler and people. When King Alden died, the council of elders gathered, as tradition demanded. But though both sons had claim to the crown, the law allowed only one king to rise. The kingdom held its breath. Would it be Kael, the ambitious flame, or Arin, the steady light? And so began whispers across taverns and markets, in courtyards and fields. Kael will lead us to glory. No, Arin will lead us to peace. The people themselves were divided, for both princes had strength, yet their strengths were worlds apart. One cold evening, as the palace bells tolled for morning, Kael stood at the high balcony overlooking Veyora. His jaw was set, his eyes burning with hunger for the throne. This kingdom, he muttered, will not survive kindness. It must be ruled with fear, or it will be devoured by enemies. Below, in the quiet streets, Arin walked among the grieving townsfolk. A farmer's child tugged his cloak and whispered through tears, "Will we be safe, my lord?" Arin knelt, placing a hand over the boy's heart. "Yes, for as long as I draw breath, I will protect you." Two brothers, two visions, one throne. And though the crown of Veyora gleamed brightly under the moon, it could only rest upon one head. And so, dear listeners, the stage is set. Two heirs, bound by blood but divided by purpose. As the council prepares to choose, which vision will guide Veyora, the fire of conquest or the light of compassion? Join me in the next chapter, as the brothers make their first choices, and the kingdom begins to change. Part 2, The First Choices. Welcome back, dear listeners, to English Story Haven. In our last chapter, we met the twin heirs of Veyora, Prince Kael and Prince Arin. One burned with ambition, the other glowed with compassion. Tonight, we see how their first choices begin to shape their destiny. The kingdom of Veyora had not yet chosen its king, but power has a way of revealing itself long before the crown is placed. Prince Kael moved quickly. He gathered the nobles, men who measured loyalty in gold, and filled their cups with promises. "You will dine at tables of silver," he told them, his voice smooth as wine. "If you stand with me, defy me, and your estates will wither like leaves in frost." Some nodded eagerly, others in fear. Either way, Kael left the chamber with heads bowed before him. Meanwhile, Prince Arin walked a different path. Instead of palaces, he went to the fields. The winter frost had bitten hard, and farmers struggled to feed their children. Arin removed his cloak and worked alongside them, carrying sacks of grain, repairing fences, warming their hearths with words of comfort. When an old woman pressed a loaf of bread into his hands, he shook his head gently. "Keep it. Feed your grandson. My duty is not to take but to give." The news spread quickly. In taverns, whispers grew. Kael has the nobles, but Arin has the people. And still, the kingdom waited for the council to decide. But fate did not wait. On the northern borders, riders came with dire tidings. An enemy kingdom was gathering arms, preparing to march against Veyora. War was at their doorstep. The council of elders demanded to know how the princes would act. And so, each brother spoke. Kael slammed his fist upon the table. "We will conscript every able man, seize food from villages, and march in numbers so vast that our enemies will tremble. Mercy is weakness. Fear will make us strong." Arin rose slowly, his voice calm but firm. "We cannot demand loyalty at the edge of a blade. Soldiers fight bravely when they know their king bleeds beside them. I will lead them myself, not as their master, but as their brother." The council murmured, divided. Both answers carried strengths, but one carried fear, the other faith. The choice of a king had not yet been made, but the first trial of war had arrived. And so, dear listeners, the brothers stand at the edge of battle. One will rule by fear, the other by trust. But when the swords clash, whose vision will lead Veyora to victory? Join me in our next chapter, as war tests not only their armies, but the hearts of those who follow. Part 3, The Test of War. Welcome back, dear listeners, to English Story Haven. In our last chapter, the kingdom of Veyora stood on the edge of war, with two princes offering two paths, Kael with fear and Arin with faith. Tonight, the battlefield will reveal which kind of strength truly endures. The drums of war echoed through the valleys of Veyora on the northern plains, where the earth stretched wide and the sky hung heavy with storm clouds. Two armies gathered, one led by Prince Kael, the other by Prince Arin. Kael's camp was a place of iron and command. Soldiers were driven like cattle, forced into ranks whether they were ready or not. He strode among them, his voice sharp as steel. You will fight, or you will be crushed beneath my heel. Fear me more than the enemy, and you will live. Some soldiers saluted with trembling hands, others with hollow eyes. They obeyed, but obedience born of terror is brittle, like glass under strain. Across the plain, Arin's camp was different. He sat beside the fire with his men, breaking bread, tending wounds, listening to their fears. He trained with them, his sword flashing in the cold morning light, sweat pouring as freely as theirs. Stand with me, he told them, his tone quiet but resolute. I do not ask you to die for me, I ask you to live for each other, and for the home we love. When dawn broke, the enemy came. Their banners blackened the horizon, their horns split the air. Kael charged first, his army surging forward like a storm. His soldiers fought fiercely, but they looked often over their shoulders, more afraid of Kael's wrath than the enemy's blade. And when the lines wavered, Kael roared and struck down his own men to force the others back into battle. Victory by terror, but at what cost? Meanwhile, Arin led his men from the front. He fought not behind them, but beside them, his sword flashing, his shield raised to protect even the weakest. His men cheered his name as they clashed with the foe, each strike powered not by fear, but by loyalty. And though the battle was brutal, though blood stained the fields and cries of pain filled the sky, Arin's army did not falter. They held the line because they believed not only in him, but in themselves. By nightfall, the invaders retreated, broken on both fronts. Both princes returned victorious, yet in the camps the truth was plain. Kael's soldiers looked hollow, weary of their own prince. Arin's men, though battered, sang songs of courage beside their fires. The council would hear of both victories, but one was won through cruelty, the other through trust. And the question remained, what kind of king would Veyora follow? And so, dear listeners, both brothers tasted victory, but their armies tasted very different truths. As shadows of power grow, what price will Kael and Arin pay for their visions of rule? Join me in the next chapter, where ambition deepens and the first cracks of destiny appear. Part 4, Shadows of Power. Welcome back, dear listeners, to English Story Haven. In our last chapter, both princes returned victorious from battle, Kael by fear, Arin by trust. Tonight, we witness how victory changes men, and how the shadows of power begin to fall. The war had been won, but the kingdom was restless. Veyora's villagers whispered the names of the princes, some with pride, others with dread. Prince Kael returned to the palace halls with a crown already in his mind. He feasted with nobles, raising goblets of wine to toast his triumph. Yet even in laughter, his eyes were sharp, watching every glance, every whisper. Why do they praise Arin? He muttered to himself when the cheers drifted too far toward his brother's name. It was I who crushed the enemy, I who commanded their defeat. Without me, they would all be ash. He tightened his grip on the golden chalice until his knuckles whitened. If they doubt me, they will learn what loyalty means. Meanwhile, Arin walked the ruined villages, his armor traded for plain robes. He helped rebuild homes, soothed crying children, and buried the fallen with his own hands. When asked why a prince stooped so low, he simply said, "A crown means nothing if it does not bow first to its people." His words spread faster than Kael's boasts, carried on grateful tongues from village to village. Soon the council of elders heard whispers, not of Kael's cruelty, but of Arin's kindness. At their secret gatherings, debate raged. Kael is strong, one elder argued. He will keep enemies away. But Arin is wise, another countered. He will keep enemies from rising at all. The scales of power wavered, unsteady as the autumn leaves. One night, Kael stormed into the council chamber unbidden, his cloak swirling behind him like a shadow. His voice thundered against the stone walls. I am the rightful king. Choose me, and Veyora will rule the world. Defy me, and you will regret it. The elders trembled. Some bowed, others looked away in silence. That same night, Arin sat in a village square, surrounded by farmers and children. A child climbed into his lap and asked softly, "Will you be our king?" Arin smiled faintly. "If the people will it, then yes. But even if they do not, I will still be your servant." The words glowed in the hearts of those who heard them, and though no crown yet gleamed upon either brother's head, the true contest was already decided, not in marble halls, but in the hearts of the people. And so, dear listeners, Kael's Hunger grows darker while Arin's light grows brighter. But ambition is a restless beast, and Kael will not sit idle while love gathers at his brother's side. Join me in the next chapter as a storm of betrayal begins to stir. Part 5, The Seeds of Betrayal. Welcome back, dear listeners, to English Story Haven. Last time, Kael's hunger for power deepened while Arin's compassion lit the hearts of the people. Tonight, the shadow of betrayal begins to take root. The kingdom of Veyora lay in a fragile peace. Fields were being sown again, and laughter returned faintly to the villagers. Yet beneath the surface, unease stirred like cracks, spreading beneath glass. Prince Kael sat alone in the torchlit halls of the palace, his goblet untouched. The echoes of the council's doubts still stung his ears. "They dare to hesitate," he whispered bitterly. "They dare to weigh me against him." A voice answered from the shadow's smooth serpentine. It belonged to Lord Veros, a noble long known for whispers and schemes. "Why wait for their choice? My Prince Veros," said, bowing low. "A throne is not given, it is taken." Kael's jaw tightened. "And if my brother stands in the way, then he is but one man," Veros replied coldly. "And one man can fall." The words struck deep, planting roots of treachery in Kael's heart. He began to gather allies, in secret lords who hungered for gold, captains who hungered for power. To them, Kael promised riches beyond measure, if only they pledged their swords to him. Meanwhile, Prince Arin continued walking among his people. He mended roofs, shared harvest feasts, and listened to the stories of the poor. His presence was not a prince above them, but a brother beside them. One evening, an elder farmer clasped Arin's hands with trembling fingers. "Your kindness has done more than any sword, my lord. If you wear the crown, we will follow you into any storm." Arin's heart was heavy with the weight of expectation. He never sought glory, yet it followed him like sunlight follows dawn. But whispers began to spread rumors that Kael had no intention of waiting for the council's decision, that he was gathering an army, not against enemies abroad, but against his own blood. When the news reached Arin, he sat in silence by the river, the flame of his torch flickering in the wind. Lyra, his closest advisor, spoke quietly. "You know what must come. If Kael strikes first, he will tear this kingdom apart." Arin's eyes lowered. "He is my brother. I swore to protect him, not destroy him." Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder. "But will you let him destroy everyone else?" The river carried his reflection, broken by ripples. In its shifting waters, Arin saw not just a prince, but a choice one that would shape not only the fate of Veyora but the bond of brothers. And so, dear listeners, betrayal brews in silence. Kael sharpens his ambition into a blade, while Arin wrestles with a choice no brother should face. In our next chapter, the storm of conflict will break upon the kingdom. Part 6, The Clash of Brothers. Welcome back, dear listeners, to English Story Haven. In our last chapter, Kael's heart was darkened by betrayal, while Arin wrestled with the impossible weight of choosing between family and kingdom. Tonight, the storm breaks, and the clash of brothers begins. The Council of Elders had not yet spoken, but Kael refused to wait. On a moonless night, while the city slept, Kael's soldiers marched through the palace gates. Cloaked in silence, they seized the council chambers, binding the elders in chains. Torches blazed in the night as Kael stood before them, his sword drawn, his voice thundering. "I am the king of Veyora," he declared. "No parchment, no council, no brother will deny me." The people awoke to chaos, drums of war echoing in the streets, cries of fear spilling into the night. When word reached Prince Arin, he rose swiftly from his camp among the villagers. His face was pale, but his resolve shone like steel. "He has chosen the path of war," Arin said, his voice steady though his heart ached. "Then I must choose the path of peace even if it is won through battle." By dawn, the brothers stood across from each other at the palace gates. Kael in blackened armor, his eyes burning with fury. Arin in simple steel, his cloak torn but his gaze calm as a river. The air trembled with the silence of thousands watching. "Brother," Kael spat, his voice sharp as a blade, "step aside. This kingdom is mine." Arin's heart twisted. "It was never yours or mine, Kael. It belongs to our people, and they will not bow to fear." With a roar, Kael charged. Steel clashed against steel, sparks flying as their blades met. The crowd gasped as the brothers fought, not as family, but as enemies bound by fate. Kael struck with fury, each swing heavy with rage. Arin parried with grace, his movement steady, his strength drawn not from anger, but from duty. "You resist me," Kael shouted, his blade pressing close. "Because I still love you," Arin answered, pushing him back. "But I cannot let you destroy what we swore to protect." The battle raged, blood-stained, the stones. Shouts filled the air, and the kingdom of Veyora held its breath at last. Kael faltered, his blade knocked from his hand. Arin's sword rested at his brother's throat. The world went silent. Tears burned in Arin's eyes. "Do not make me do this, Kael. Surrender, and we will find another path." But Kael only laughed bitterly, his voice raw. "If you spare me, I will rise again. I will never stop until the crown is mine." Arin's grip trembled. To end this war, he needed only to thrust forward, but it was his brother's life that hung in the balance. The crowd leaned in, their hearts caught between mercy and justice. And so, dear listeners, the blades have clashed. and now kingdom holds its breath. Will Arin sacrifice his brother for peace, or will mercy bring ruin to them all? Join me in our next chapter, as the final choice is made. Part 7, The Price of Mercy. Welcome back, dear listeners, to English Story Haven. Last time, blades clashed as Kael seized the throne by force. At the gates of the palace, Arin stood victorious, yet torn by a choice no brother should face tonight. Mercy and consequence walk hand in hand. The square was silent. The only sound was Kael's labored breath as he knelt on the stones, Arin's blade hovering at his throat. All around, soldiers and villagers alike watched with wide, fearful eyes. The fate of the kingdom and of two brothers hung on a single heartbeat. Kael sneered, though blood trickled from the corner of his mouth. "Strike, Arin," he spat. "Do it. Prove you are no different from me." Arin's hands shook, his eyes burned with unshed tears. "I am different," he whispered, his voice trembling, "because I will not kill my brother." Slowly, painfully, he lowered his sword. Gasps rippled through the crowd. "Take him," Arin commanded, turning to the soldiers. "But do not harm him. He is my blood, and though he has chosen darkness, I will not answer it with more." The soldiers hesitated, unsure, but the power in Arin's voice was steady, like a tide that could not be denied. They bound Kael in chains, dragging him to the dungeons beneath the palace. Some cheered, grateful for mercy. Others murmured, fearful that sparing Kael would only invite more ruin that night. Arin stood alone in the council chamber, the crown untouched before him. Lyra entered quietly, her face lined with worry. "You should have ended it," she said softly. "The people needed finality. They needed safety." Arin's eyes lowered. "Safety built on blood would not last. Mercy is the only crown I can wear." But even as he spoke, shadows stirred. For in the darkness of the dungeon, Kael's eyes glowed with unbroken fury. His chains rattled, his heart burning with vengeance. Mercy had spared his life, but had not tamed his hunger. And so, dear listeners, Arin has chosen mercy over blood. But will his compassion heal the wounds of betrayal, or open the door to greater danger? In our final chapter, the destiny of two crowns will be revealed. Part 8, The Final Crown. Welcome, dear listeners, to English Story Haven. Tonight, we reach the conclusion of our tale. Mercy has been chosen, but mercy always carries a price. Now we discover whether peace or ruin will claim the kingdom of Veyora. The days following Kael's defeat were uneasy. The council placed the crown upon Arin's head, declaring him king. The people cheered, yet whispers spread like smoke in the wind. "Kael still lives," some muttered. "What if he rises again?" Arin ruled with fairness and compassion. He rebuilt burned villages, forgave debts, and welcomed even Kael's allies back into the fold if they swore loyalty to peace. For a time, the land flourished. But deep in the dungeons, Kael plotted still. His fury was not quenched. His pride burned hotter with every passing day. He swore that no chain would bind him forever. One stormy night, Kael escaped. The guards fell to his blade, and with a band of loyal traitors, he fled into the mountains. Word reached Arin by dawn. The new king stood silent as his advisors argued. "Send the army after him," one shouted. "Strike him down before he gathers strength," cried another. But Arin only whispered, "No, let him go. A man who carries only hatred cannot build a kingdom. He can only destroy himself." Years passed. Arin ruled wisely, loved by his people. His reign remembered as one of peace. Kael's name became a ghost, spoken only in warnings to ambitious men. And when the day came that Arin was laid to rest, the people carved upon his tomb not his titles nor his victories, but these words: "Here lies Arin, the king who chose mercy." Lesson for viewers, dear listeners. Tonight's tale leaves us with this truth: power may win battles, but only compassion wins hearts. Mercy is not weakness, it is the courage to break the cycle of hatred. And though betrayal may wound us, choosing light over darkness ensures that our legacy shines brighter than any crown.